One of the speakers, and I may have shared this last time, but it bears repeating because it has really affected my mindset. She said all businesses are affected by headwinds and tailwinds.
Okay.
Right? So a tailwind is blowing you and making it go faster, right?
Yep.
And a headwind is something that you battle, right? And our economy, changes in weather, the coronavirus, these types of things that come, a boom market, these are the things that happen that are outside our control, but they do affect our business. And I call this controlling the faucet, actually. It's the difference between standing outside with a bucket waiting for it to rain and controlling the faucet. So she said, you just have to acknowledge that headwinds and tailwinds exist, and you don't get to make your choices about that, right?
Okay.
They exist. They happen. You get to benefit when they're there, and you get to be impacted negatively when they're negative, but you don't get to just say, I wait for headwinds and tailwinds. That's not a way to run a business.
It's my pleasure to welcome Coach Amy Lassen back to the show. Good morning, Amy.
Good morning.
Excited to be with you this morning. You had the opportunity to attend Tony Robbins' Business Mastery. It was like a 4 or 5 day event a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
And we had, I think you and I discussed on the show a couple weeks ago some of your brief takeaways, but we wanted to do a little bit of a deeper dive today and some of your takeaways. So where do you want to start?
Well, I want to start with an epiphany that I had yesterday in several back-to-back coaching calls with real estate agents. And to be clear, Tony Robbins Business Mastery is not for agents. It's not for realtors. It's for all business owners. And I think that's one of the biggest challenges for agents, new agents, but kind of all agents, is recognizing that they now own a business. Right? And maybe the reason they don't recognize that is because they kind of don't.
Right.
The difference between being a business owner and he says, if you don't have something that you can walk away from, if you can't take a day off, if you couldn't put someone else in your systems and say, here, do this, I'm going to be gone, or here, I'll sell it to you, then you actually don't own a business. You have a high paying job, and hopefully it's high paying.
Hopefully it's high paying.
Hopefully it's high paying. So you can be a business operator, right? And if you're the only one, then you are, right? We've talked about that before. You wear all the hats, but bare bones, you absolutely are operating the business yourself. So you're not a business owner. And so in all fairness to the agents I'm accusing of not knowing they're a business owner, maybe it's because they aren't. But you have an opportunity to be. And yesterday, when I was coaching, it surprised me a little bit how difficult it is to convince my coaching clients who are currently very busy, happily busy, impressively busy, that they need to hire help. And I pointed out to them that most of the people I coach say, I don't have time to hire right now. I can barely keep up. Now that's true. I understand that slowing down, creating a hiring system, writing the right ads, spending time interviewing people, that would be a tremendous amount of time. And then bringing that person on and training them, that would be a tremendous amount of time. And especially if you've not done it before, you might not do it well. This might be a first try. You might screw this up. Do you have time to screw this up right now? And so they say, forget it, I'll do it later. So what happens, right? We're busy, we're too busy. We don't do our lead gen. We don't mind our brand. We don't do our marketing. And then we get through all the closings, we get through all the settlements, and now we have some quiet time. So now is it time to hire? No, I don't need to hire now. I don't have anything in the pipeline, right? So this is the roller coaster of I will never hire. So what I said to one yesterday was, imagine where you want your business to be a year from now and just commit, right? Pay this person for however many months it takes to train them, and don't say, I'll only pay them if I have a transaction this month. Like, would you do that with a bakery? Would you say, I will buy dough machines after I sell enough donuts.
Right.
No, right? So we've got to quit treating this business so transactionally and see it as a business, see it as a system. So that's one of my big takeaways, is that we all really could be seeing this more entrepreneurially and say, I have a vision where I want my real estate business to go, and I'm willing to commit to the processes. So there were lots of little nuggets and things that you and I heard from Tony Robbins, but sometimes it really helps to hear it again and from a different perspective. One of the speakers, and I may have shared this last time, but it bears repeating because it has really affected my mindset. She said, all businesses are affected by headwinds and tailwinds.
Okay.
Right? So a tailwind is blowing you and making it go faster, right?
Yep.
And a headwind is something that you battle, right? And in our economy, changes in weather, the coronavirus, these types of things that come, a boom market, these are the things that happen that are outside our control, but they do affect our business. And I call this controlling the faucet, actually. It's the difference between standing outside with a bucket waiting for it to rain and controlling the faucet. So she said, you just have to acknowledge that headwinds and tailwinds exist, and you don't get to make your choices about that, right?
Okay.
They exist. They happen. You get to benefit when they're there, and you get to be impacted negatively when they're negative, but you don't get to just say, I wait for headwinds and tailwinds. That's not a way to run a business. So I say my friend Elizabeth controls the faucet better than anyone I've ever known. When COVID came down, her father-in-law is health compromised, and she shut her down, man. She quit talking to her clients. And she didn't call them and say, I don't want any referrals. She just really slowed down her touch protocol. Suddenly her business got slow. Funny how that works.
Right.
And as soon as she was ready to have more listings, she went back to talking to them, commenting on their stuff, engaging with them, seeing how they were doing. And suddenly the referrals are there. And I think just the knowledge that you have that in you is super healthy. So headwinds and tailwinds, huge takeaway. So those of you who are so busy, you think you can't hire right now, and you think that you're doing something right, you're benefiting from tailwinds, and these will not always last. Business, we all know who've been in this industry longer than a year. No, this is not a normal market. This will not be your norm forever. So, but don't just say, great, I'm looking forward to the day off, because you may have a year off. Right. If you don't do something to build systems that keep you steady. And Charlie, I have a couple. They are on such a growth trajectory. It's outrageous. And they really need to hire, and they're finally doing so. And yesterday, the wife said to me, well, here comes the fall. It'll slow down. So we'll just, we'll be able to train our buyer's agent then. It will slow down. Now, that's true. Most markets, the entire pool, let's call it a pie chart of transactions, the pie gets smaller normally. There are seasons. All markets have seasons. So total transactions will shrink. But I said, here's the thing. Look at your mindset. You guys are on such an incredible growth trajectory. And paying for Zillow leads actually is really economical for them in the market that they happen to be. And they've been offered another zip code. And they're getting ready to bring on a buyer's agent. So I said, you can choose to have it slow down, or you can choose not to. Now, will the total number of transactions shrink? Yes. Do yours have to? Absolutely not. I said, the two of you are positioned to take more than your fair share. So manage your mindset around what's going to happen. You don't have to just be all about the headwinds and the tailwinds. You have control over the rudder too.
What about agents who don't realize they have a business?
What about that? What do you mean, what about it? Yes, exactly.
So I mean, I think that there's agents that look at it almost like a job, and it's not a business. And I had a group coaching call, before our meeting today, and there was a new agent on there, and she said, I'm new, and I've not been treating this like a business, and I need to get better at that. So she realizes it, but I mean, does every new agent, are they told, this is your business. This is not a job. This is not a career. This is your business. And I'm just wondering if there's agents out there that, they don't go to seminars, they don't watch YouTube videos, they don't follow us or Tom Ferry or whoever. And, at what point in your career did you realize this was a business? Was it like day one? or was there a premonition? I'm just wondering, like, is this covered in training for an agent? It depends on where you get your training, right? But I guess where I'm going with this is there's some agents that I don't think they've not even considered that this is a business, right? And when you use the bakery example, they haven't even thought of that. Like, oh yeah, I do need to spend money to make money.
Right.
So I don't know if that's a question or a comment.
Okay, but I think it bears dissecting, because I think you're 100% right. And the answer to when did I know is, oh dear heavens, maybe when I became a coach, because I'm talking about really know. Because sure, I would say the vast majority of everyone listening and watching this video has heard that. They've heard it's time for you to focus on running your business. They've heard it.
Yeah.
And they may even think they know what it means, but until you're doing it, I don't think any of us knows what that means. And I've been having much more opportunity lately, combining a lot of training that I'm getting. Like I was listening to the book Atomic Habits, and he was talking about how the only way you can form a habit is if you make the intention and the to-do item extremely concrete. I will stand at my desk at 9:15 and read the script of the such and such, looking into the window, wearing my blue shirt. I don't know, whatever it is. Like I will drink a glass of water, and for 10 minutes I will hop up and down. Like I'm being silly, but like you have to be super, super specific. And then I will have this many conversations, and I will set 2 appointments, and I will be done by 10:15 or whatever. Like don't just say I'll do some lead gen tomorrow.
Right.
And so what I've started doing, I have a coaching client. She's one of those big picture thinkers, big talker like me, super, super vague. She committed to her action items. And I said, okay, can you make those way more specific? I said, if you left this list of to-dos for someone else, could they do it? Like,
oh, now that's gold right there.
I know. I said, I don't know that your subconscious will remember like concretely what you think you know what you mean. Do you even know what you mean? And she said, oh, that totally makes sense. She said, I used to be a teacher. I wrote lesson plans. And I said, okay, is this a lesson plan someone else could follow? And she's like, no. So we've got to leave instructions for ourselves that someone else could follow. And that's the foundation of actually building a business that you could bring other people into, walk away from for a weekend, or sell. Right. So I think the question, so maybe the aggressive answer to your question is, what does it really mean to own a business? Right. And I think it means to create processes that anyone else could learn to operate. Right. And the best way to have a business that is saleable, and that may be a triggering, scary thing for agents. Like, how could I possibly build a business to sell? But that was one of the Tony Robbins takeaways. He said, run a business that you could sell, even if you never do.
Right.
Because that will be a business worth working in. Right. So that's just sort of a mindset that I need to systematize this business, and I need to create something that even I enjoy working at.
No, that's I appreciate you bringing that up, and this has been a good discussion around treating your business like a business, and and even if you never do want to sell it, are you set up in a way that somebody would want to buy it? Right.
Sure.
It is the systems. It is the processes. It's not just your database. It's not a list of names. Right. A bakery could have a list of names, but if the bakery is never open and doesn't put out a good product, then right. Exactly. Excellent. So what are some other nuggets from that event?
So one of the things that you and I hear all the time, but it was said slightly differently, is if you don't measure it, you can't manage it.
Okay.
So we say that which is measured improves. I've heard that plenty of times. But if you don't measure it, you can't manage it. And he says the first thing you have to manage is your state. And this is the huge Tony Robbins thing. This is something to me that is unique to Tony Robbins. Maybe it's not, but in my world of study, it's unique to Tony Robbins, is that he talks so much about your state of being, the energy in your body, the confidence in your mind that comes from having a great physical and mental state. So he says, how's your energy? How's your energy? 1 to 10. Come on, right? And even though this was a conference that I attended virtually in my living room, we were on camera and we were required to be jumping up and down over and over and over, even at 1:30 in the morning, trying to take my notes. I had this really good thought I wanted to get down, and they're like, get up. I'm like, dang it, I'm taking notes. Get up, get up, get up, because their attitude is, if you are not in a peak state at 1:30 in the morning, and I'm trying to write my notes. God help me, right? So their attitude is being in a peak state matters more than almost anything else. Get up, get up, get up, jump, jump, jump. The other thing is, and the thing that's wonderful about the brainwashing is they're transparent about it. They'll say, oh, no, we're exhausting you on purpose. We're keeping you up for 13 hours unreasonably. There was one point, it's like 2 o'clock in the morning, and he's talking about something he already explained. And I'm like, you're playing yesterday's tape, man. I heard this already. And he doesn't care. He's like, so what? You're proving to yourself that you can stay in a peak state even when you don't want to, even when you're beyond tired. Get up, right? And it really, actually, after a few days of that, you're like, huh, that's kind of impressive. Like, no joke. I went into my in-person event in San Jose with an aching shoulder. And just, I was favoring it. I was being careful. And they have you put your hands straight over your head so many times. Like you're standing, you're jumping, your arms are straight over your head, straight over your head. After, in that case, it was 4 days of arms straight over my head. My shoulder was fine, and so it really was a good lesson that you can control your state. All right. So those of us who say, I don't feel like it, I don't feel like doing my lead generation, I'm not up for it today. That's just, yes, you are. You've got it in you. You're cheating yourself out of the opportunity to do your best. So that which is measured improves, including how you feel, including your confidence, including your energy. So, this is so funny. He said, how's your energy on a 1 to 10? And he made everybody rate yourself. And he said, yeah, most of you are a 6. Would you date a 6? It was so funny. Right? So we need to start looking at that, right? Like, what do you bring to your business? How committed are you to your lead generation? 1 to 10. Would you date a 6? I don't know. Right. I just like the slap in the face. Would you do business with a 6? Yeah. So how important is it to put yourself in a state where you can execute? And this is one of the other things, Charlie, I think you and I both recognize going to Tom Ferry's events. You get really inspired. You hear from great speakers. You get a bunch of good ideas. Of course, there's quite a bit of jumping up and down there too. You're like, I can do it. You get all committed. And then you go home and the helium leaks out of your balloon. And how much do we execute? I think Tony Robbins would say, take that concept home with you that you need to be in a peak state. You were in a peak state when you committed. Right. You've got to get into a peak state again. You can't just go home and look at your notes and go, I'm not quite sure why I committed to that. That looks a little unrealistic, right? God, it's the Kool-Aid, man. They just got me worked into a froth and none of that was realistic. Well, it's totally realistic if you're in the right state, right? I agree. And something that I've been talking to clients about, coaching clients about recently is the confidence. And when you knock on the door for the listing appointment, are you convinced that you are the best person for that job? And can you look the seller in the eye at the end of that appointment and say, I am the best person for this job. Can we get started? But you got to believe that. And I think a lot of that has to do with the state and your energy and all that stuff. And listen, if you're not feeling it that day and you're an introvert or whatever, turn it on for those 2 hours. Yeah. Right. As you're going, there was somebody in a group coaching that was saying that it wasn't a competitive listing appointment that she was going on, but it was clearly an interview. And she was recommended by another agent or something. And she listened to affirmations on the way over there. Right. I mean, this was a very controlled setup to this meeting. Okay. So when she got there, she was at that level 10 and she did that on purpose. Right. She looked at the affirmations early. I think she looked, or listened to some, great music on the way there. Yeah. She reviewed her questions in the car before she knocked on the door. She had already sent over the pre-listing book, so this was a calculated appointment, right? Where she wanted to bring it and she got the listing. It worked. So anyway, I digress. No, I don't think so. So, and actually I have a whole bunch of other like really businessy takeaways, but I think this topic bears going deep on, right? I want to share that I started reading the book Younger Next Year. And so I just want to explain something about it and tell a story about my former boss, the owner of our brokerage. So in this concept of state and showing up to the appointment believing that you can, and you were saying, what if you're an introvert or what if you're not feeling it? The problem with just kind of doing a last minute, all right, I can. It's just such a strain. It's like going to the gym twice a year. It's gonna hurt, So I think it's time to invest a little bit more in this long term. And so reading this book, Younger Next Year, they were claiming that there is a way to live healthy well into old age. And the secret is aggressive exercise. Now, they said what you eat does matter and water does matter. But people who say, and I've heard this a lot, it's not exercise. You can't lose weight with exercise. It's what you eat. And I hear that and I believe that. But this book is not about massive weight loss.
Right.
This is about longevity. What it said is you will tell your body it's time to step it up if you do aggressive exercise. And he said 6 days a week. If you aggressively exercise 6 days a week, you will trigger your body to switch its aging process. Right. All these things that are starting to deteriorate and decay, your thinking, your fog, your musculature, your bone structure, your cell regeneration. Right. So I don't know that this is a bad topic, right? Whatever it's going to take to get a little bit more in a peak state, you are the most important component in your business. No joke.
Oh, without a doubt, right?
No joke, right? So here's the story about my boss. So he is currently the owner of my brokerage, but he was my I was his Girl Friday for 6 years. We did the radio show together. We designed our curriculum together. We recruited together. I was his right hand, and we were driving to the radio show, and he's in the driver's seat, and he was about 68, and I look over and he's got his left hand on the steering wheel and he's got his right hand and he's doing this. And I'm thinking, what is going on? He's straining, he's reaching, he's sort of rubbing his chest on the left side. And my father, who was the same age, had told me this horrendous story about being behind the wheel and being afraid he was having a heart attack. And so I just had this thought. I said, should I ask? I mean, the man is not young, Right. And I said, are you okay? And he said, these one-handed push-ups are kicking my ass. So, this is so him. He had a gym built in our brokerage. The basement of our brokerage has his gym. Okay. He would come in at 5 a.m. and do P90X when he was pushing 70.
Yep.
And I remember having someone come in and complain about their bill at the brokerage. This is what I'm paying. This is exorbitant. He's making a fortune off me. And I went through the numbers and they were extremely low. It was crazy. This one was grandfathered into something ridiculously low.
Right.
And I said, okay, first of all, he's not making a killing off the brokerage. He's making a killing off selling houses. And you get up at 5 a.m. and you work as hard as he does and you get back to me on that. Like, I just had zero patience.
Right.
If you just trim my bill by 50 cents, then I'd be profitable. Really? Really? Are you doing your lead gen? Are you going on appointments, right? And so I really want everyone to understand that mindset of really, really invest in this, invest in your confidence and your state. So when it comes to change, and I don't know, okay, great. This is where I can leave it. When it comes to change, he said, you have to look at pivot and change. He says people change things in the wrong order. The first thing they look at is what's wrong with my strategy, right? Maybe if I take a conference, I'll get some ideas. I'll get some tricks. Hey, Charlie, give me some nuggets. How is George doing it? Maybe George can tell me his secret sauce, right? Let's change my strategy, right? And he said, then once I have a good strategy, then I'll change my attitude around whether or not it's possible. And then eventually I'll feel like doing it. He said, that's completely backwards. So here's the 3 S's. First, change your state. Woof, right? Change your state. That's the first thing. Then change your story. Okay. Last, change your strategy. Okay. Last, change your state, change your story, change your strategy. And most of us do it the other way around.
Yep.
I had a checklist I believed in. I might change my business plan and then I might change my attitude.
Right.
So I just absolutely love that. Change your state, change your story, then change your strategy. And then here's the final triple whammy that has really, really been powerful for me. Whenever you think about taking action, whatever it is, making a change in your business, bringing someone on, launching a business at all, taking on a new lead gen source, this is the order of things. He said, ask yourself what and ask yourself why. Never ask yourself how. It doesn't matter. He said, if you have a clear what and a strong why, The how will take care of itself. And he told the story of President Kennedy saying we would put a man on the moon.
Yep.
He said he was super specific. He said what it was going to be. He said why it was going to be. How was on NASA, and they were peeing their pants watching that broadcast. Nobody had any idea how that was going to happen.
Yep.
But he said the how will take care of itself. If you start with how can I call expired? Right? We don't have a clear what, and we don't have a good enough why, right? So now we're just stuck in the, I'm not sure how to do that.
Yep.
The how becomes possible when the what is clear and the why is passionate.
This was excellent. Oftentimes with these events, you have to travel to them, right? Yeah. But in this case, it was virtual.
Yeah.
Tony Robbins is also doing a virtual event in November. Are you a Tony Robbins evangelist? If somebody's watching now thinking, this is interesting and I can do it from home, I don't have to, spend the extra 2 days traveling or whatever. What's your take on, and I know that you bought a whole package. You've been to several events. Yeah. Is this something that's like totally worth it? I would do it again. I'd recommend it. Like, just, what's your 30-second take on the whole program, if you will?
Wow. Okay. So I think the one you're talking about is Unleash the Power Within.
It is, correct.
So UPW, that's the one that I did in person in San Jose. It was really worth it. It's his least expensive event. And Joseph McClendon does a lot of the speaking at that, and he's fantastic. So no, I'm anything but an evangelist. But yeah, it's a great, great one. Here's the thing about virtual. Business Mastery that I attended that we're talking about today, this 5-hour event is extremely expensive, and I have no idea how much it costs virtual because I had paid for it already.
Right.
If you have an opportunity to get the bargain of attending something like Business Mastery for 5 days, heavens yes. Heavens yes. But the thing that you and I say as coaches, somebody says, hey, Amy, should I sign up for whatever it is? Should I sign up for Boomtown? Should I sign up for Bomb Bomb? Should I spend money on my business? You have to go into it with a mindset of determination to get an outcome. Otherwise, any amount of money in anything that you attend is going to be a waste of your time. But yeah, sure. And just be committed to jumping up and down in your living room.
Exactly. All right. Awesome. We'll leave it there. Always good to see you.
You too.
I'm on vacation next week. So next week it's Amy in Eyerusalem. So looking forward to hearing how that goes. With that, have a good rest of the week, and we will see you soon.